What's up, guys? I just wanted to make a quick video talking about a few things that I've learned over the years from doing card shows in person. It's a completely different ball game than selling cards online. I've learned a lot. I've done them for, I don't know, 2-3 years now. And like I said, I have learned a lot. I had a show this weekend. It went really well. It was a 2-day show. It's the first time I've ever had a 2-day show. It was a smaller venue. There was a lot of foot traffic, but not to my normal show. My normal show, I usually is a 1-day show, and it's really busy. And I do pretty well at those 1-day shows, so I didn't really know what to expect, but I did well. I had $1,000 a day in sales. That's pretty decent. My 1-day shows that I do are very big, 80 tables or so. This one was, I think it was like 40 tables. And I did $1,000 a day. I normally do $2,000 on the bigger shows, which is pretty good. But the main reason why I wanted to make this video was I was super busy, but I had a couple of guys set up right next to me. Older guys, been doing it since the 90s. Super nice guys. I actually knew one of them when I was back in high school. He went to my church. Really good guy, and I talked to him quite a bit. But he was grumpy. He was upset. He had some fun inventory. He had mostly autos, of sports autos. But he was just having a hard time selling. So I got to talking to him, and he says, well, I buy most of my stuff off of eBay, and I just try to mark it up a little bit, and I was like, yeah, okay, yeah. So he was asking me about what I do for buying, and I said, well, I buy on eBay too, but for the most part, I buy niche stuff, stuff that I'm okay with keeping if it doesn't get sold. But in person, I tell everyone that comes to the table what I do for buying. I always offer them, I say right up front, I offer 60 to 75% of comps. And I sell for 80 to 90% of comps. That way, I feel like everyone gets a deal. Everyone's happy. We're not trying to all make the most money possible. And he was kind of thrown back by that a little bit. He's like, well, I mean, all these comps. You know, everybody that comes to my table says, I need the lowest comp if I'm going to buy from you, or I need the highest comp if I'm going to sell to you. And he was just grumpy. And I said, yeah, that's why I tell everyone, you know, I'll look at the comps and I'll say, well, I'll take the last 4 and I'll add them up and I'll divide them by 4. And I'll get the average price of what they've been selling for. I show everyone that comes to my table exactly what I've got going on. Everybody that comes to my table, I tell them I'm always open to offers. As soon as they walk up to my table, I tell them straight up, I'm open to offers. That way, if my sticker price on my card is above comps and I don't have it priced out right, they're not like, oh my gosh, this guy, look at him, look at these prices. No, that's not how that's why you tell them I'm open to offers, because I might be wrong. I might be wrong on what the latest comps are. So you just be straight with them. Most of the time, I'm very engaging with them. Actually, not most of the time. I'm always engaging with them. I'm there having fun. And that's what it's all about. It's about building relationships, having fun, and selling a few cards. Talk to your customers even if they don't buy. You know, I had all kinds of guys come up to me and they didn't buy anything, and that's okay, but we had a good conversation. One guy was very confused. He saw a baseball prospect in my case, and he says, oh, that guy, he's like, he hasn't done anything. Why is his price more than Bobby Witt's card? Which they weren't comparable cards, but you get the idea. He's like, well, Bobby Witt has done way more than this guy. This guy hasn't done anything. I said, well, yeah. Actually, it's kind of funny how things work in this community. I mean, you could tell he hadn't done it for very long. I said, it's kind of funny, the prospects actually start off super high, and then they kind of go down, and then eventually they might come back up. Just the way it kind of goes. Everyone's just super excited about the future and what it might bring. And I explained all this to him, and he had no idea, and he was still confused. But we had a good conversation. He didn't buy anything from me, and it was okay. It's okay. Everybody around you sees what you have going on. And if you have a smile on your face and you're talking to your customers and you're offering them good deals and you're willing to trade and you're just upfront, that's really all it takes. I have a lot of good inventory. I have some not great inventory. And I just try to offer everyone deals. I have a value box. I say right on the value box, I say, throw a stack together. I have it wrote down on the box. It says, if you throw a stack together, I'll cut you a deal. And then you know what? They're going to throw a stack together. Maybe they were only going to spend $5 in there, but they're like, well, if this guy's going to cut me a deal, maybe they'll throw another $10 in there. And then you offer them $3-4 off, maybe $10 off if they have a huge stack. Just offer them deals. Everyone wants to feel like they're getting a deal. And that's the biggest thing. Just talk to them and offer them deals, and they'll buy from you. Have good inventory. Have lots of inventory. I'm the only guy. I mean, most of the guys there only deal in football, or only deal in Pokemon, or only deal in basketball, or whatever. I offer it all. You never know who's going to come to your table. Pokemon is new for me, and I'll tell you exactly why. I was doing a show in Des Moines, Iowa. It's about my average size show, and I sold nothing. I think I was there for 8 hours, and I sold like $200, maybe $150. It might have been less than that. It was $150, $200, something like that. I was working really hard trying to sell some stuff, and it was busy. I didn't have great inventory, apparently, is what I thought. I talked to everybody like I normally do, but as I'm wheeling and dealing, or trying to, these guys across from me, they were just swamped. I'm like, my goodness. And they were Pokemon dealers. That's all they sold is Pokemon. I was like, wow, I got to go talk to these guys after the show, because I'm doing $100. I hate to imagine what these guys did. I talked to one of them. They had 4 tables, and there was 4 different guys. I talked to one guy, and I said, well, if you don't mind me asking, what'd you sell this weekend? How'd you do? He says, I did $4,000 in a 1-day show in Pokemon, as I have sports and did $200. And I was like, bang, right there, it clicked. It's like, man, I gotta sell Pokemon. This is crazy. I mean, I know, and that's figured out we're in a boom. And, the last few shows I've seen the Pokemon dealers, and they're busy all the time. Well, if you want to make money, go where the money is. Don't be afraid to spread your wings and do certain other things that aren't really in your comfort zone. Teach yourself new things. It's actually fun. For me, anyways, I like learning new things, and if it's trading cards, I enjoy it. So, I don't know. I don't know if this is great content, but these are the tips and tricks that I've learned, and it's just be personable. Tell everyone straight up what you do. Talk to everyone that comes to your table. Tell them I'm open to offers, and just be straight with them. And you'd be surprised at how well you do. One more short story. So I tell everybody, I buy at 60 to 75%. I had this guy come up to me. He was there the first day. He offered me some sealed product. I said, man, I'd love to. He was trying to sell some Pokemon. And I thought he was just a flipper. So I was like, yeah, or a scalper. So I didn't blow him off though. I almost did, but I didn't. I had a conversation with him. I was straight with him. I was like, yeah, man, I'd love to pay. I'd love to have some 151. He had 151 booster bundles. I'd love to have some, but I can't pay full market. I can't even really justify paying 80 to 85%. I said, well, what offers did you get? And he says, well, I've got 20 of them, and a guy tried to buy 10 of them for $50 a piece, $500. And I was like, man, I can't do that. I can't do it. I'm sorry, man. I'd love to, but I can't. I said, maybe 400, I could do something like that. I said, go talk to your guy. I was straight with him. Go talk to the guy and, get that money. So I didn't think much of it. He come back around the next day, and I saw him. I was like, hey, man, did you sell those booster bundles? He says, yeah, actually, I got another $35. Somebody offered me $535. I was like, all right, man, awesome, good for you. And he's like, I got some other stuff. He showed me a list of stuff he had, and I was like, oh man, I really want this. I needed a sealed hanger box from Anthony Edwards' rookie or Prism. And I didn't have one in my collection. I told him that. I was like, man, let me see what they're going for. And I said, I'm curious. So I looked them up, and they were going for like $40, I think. And he says, you know what? I'll sell it to you for $25. I was like, all right, yeah, I'll do that. He says, I got some singles in here too. So I said, all right, I'll see what you got. Maybe I'll be interested. And I started picking out some stuff. He ripped a lot of retail. He had some case hits, like some Honeycombs and Mosaic Genesis and some Zebras and stuff like that. And he had some Pokemon and some good stuff. I said, man, he says, throw some stuff together and I'll cut you a deal. I said, all right, cool. I said, I told him, I pay 60 to 75% comps. I said, we'll work on the Pokemon first, and then we'll do the sports card. Actually, I said, it doesn't matter. I said, we'll work on the Pokemon first, and we'll do the sports cards next. So I pulled out some Pokemon cards, and I comped them, and I showed him. He didn't have the time or didn't want to or whatever. So I showed him the comps. He says, I don't know Pokemon that well, but I've been ripping it a little bit. So I was like, all right, well, this one's 10, this one's 15, this one's, you got a good one here. This one's 34. And I was picking out some stuff that I liked. And I says, I'll pay you pretty strong on this. This is a pretty good pile. I said, I'll pay you 70%. So I added it up and did the numbers and everything. And he took it. He's like, yeah, all right, that's sweet, man. I was like, cool. I said, all right, well, let's see what we got for sports here. And I pulled out some case hits and some other stuff and got through it. And I was like, all right, well, this is what your value is. And I said, I'll do any. Before I could say anything, he says, I'll cut you a deal. He says, I'll sell it to you for 50%. I was like, oh man, you don't have to do that. He's like, yeah, no, I'll do it. 50%. And you know what? I feel like it was just because I talked to the guy and I was straight with him. He cut me a heck of a deal. I mean, I picked out a bunch of stuff. I could have picked out more, maybe. I don't know. I probably could have went back through it and found some more stuff, but I found some stuff that I thought might be liquid. But yeah, and he cut me a deal because I was honest with him and I talked to him and I didn't blow him off because I thought he was just another scalper. Talk to all of them. Everybody. It doesn't matter. Just be positive and be straight with everyone. And you'd be surprised at how well you do. And if you don't do well right away, learn. That's what this is all about. Learn. And eventually you'll get there. And the biggest thing, have fun. If you're not having fun doing this, what are you doing? All right, guys. I don't know how helpful this is, but you get to listen to me ramble for a while. So I'll catch you on the next video. Peace.